Obi-Wan Kenobi, Season 1, Episode 4. You can catch Obi-Wan Kenobi streaming on the Disney Plus service. And this is a review of Episode 4, so if you haven't seen it yet, this is your spoiler warning. Okay, Obi-Wan, Episode 4, we have to go rescue Princess Leia again. In this episode, we open seeing Obi-Wan being placed into a bacta tank to recover from his burns from his confrontation with Darth Vader. And we see a intercut between Obi-Wan in a bacta tank and Darth Vader in a bacta tank. And there's a little blurring of the lines as to which is which. I thought it was a useful tactic that the torturing of Obi-Wan by Darth Vader continues. Obi-Wan emerges from the tank too soon, but his first thought and his first question is, where's Leia? The first thing he wants to do is help Leia. We meet Roken, who's working on Jabin to assist Jedi and Force-sensitive people along the path. And Roken doesn't want Obi-Wan there. That he'll bring too much attention. Obi-Wan says, she's only 10 years old. I can't leave her. I have to help her. And Tala says that she will help him. And this sort of breaks Roken down, and he decides that he is going to help. And he refers to Obi-Wan as General Kenobi. A throwback to Obi-Wan's Clone War days. We see the planning of the rescue of Leia, and we find that she is being held in the Mustafar system on the planet Nur. And it's a water planet where the Fortress Inquisitorius is. And the fortress is a pyramid-shaped, or mostly pyramid-shaped fortress that is predominantly submerged. There's a piece of it sticking up out of the water where you can land, and then the rest of it is underwater. We don't know what it completely looks like. So Tala uses her cover as an Imperial officer to get inside. She drops Obi-Wan in the ocean, and he swims up to the fortress underwater, and Tala opens a door for him to enter. Little Leia is being interrogated by Reva and holding her own. She's very mentally strong, and this is a nice foreshadowing of how strong Leia is when she's interrogated by Darth Vader in Episode 4, A New Hope. On the way to rescue Leia, Obi-Wan Kenobi was practicing his telekinesis and strengthening his connection to the Force so that he could be more himself, which I was happy to see that they showed him practicing, that it wasn't just back. And again, the actress playing Leia is very good in her scenes with Reva. We see her fake cry and manipulate Reva a little bit. And then when she finally breaks because Obi-Wan's dead, the torture and the mental torture, and she finally says, okay, I'll tell you where they are, but I gotta call my dad first. It was perfect. And of course that infuriates Reva, who then straps her into the actual torture machine and is going to do some real damage to Leia shortly. So let me just break right here real quick and say, if you're enjoying this content, please hit the thumbs up button. It'll really help the channel out a lot. And if you like this kind of content, and you've been back a couple of times, consider subscribing so you don't miss any future episodes. We'll be covering a lot of different series, episode by episode. But let's get back to this one. So Obi-Wan finds Leia and rescues her again, and they start fighting their way out. They end up in a hallway, and Obi-Wan is Obi-Wan. He's deflecting all the blaster fire. He's angling them, the deflections, to do good work. Close the door, hits the thing with a deflected laser bolt. Except that one that he wasn't paying attention to did deflect into the window that we see begin to crack. And Leia points out that the window's about to break. And Obi-Wan ends up holding back the entire ocean while Tala gets Leia to safety, and then Obi-Wan joins them. And they get all the way out to the hangar, and they are making their way across the landing platform to Tala's ship when Reva catches up to them with her guard. In the nick of time, two T-47 speeders, like we saw on Hoth, show up and start shooting everything on the platform. So the path has come to help. And Ingrid lands hers. Wade fires cover while Tala, Obi-Wan, and Leia get on board the speeder and take off. They start to flee. Reva uses her force ability to throw a mine at Wade and hits him, killing Wade. So they've rescued Leia, but not without cost. We do see Darth Vader enter the room where Reva is, and he force grabs her, picks her up in the air, and starts choking the life out of her, reminding her that she was warned what failure would bring. And this is when she tells Lord Vader that she placed a tracker with them, and that they will not only know where Kenobi went, but they'll know where the path is located, and they'll be able to wipe them all out. He congratulates her, asks if the tracker is secure, and she says yes. And the last shot we see is that the tracker is in fact Lola. Leia's little droid has had a modification so that Lola is the tracker. And then we'll move on to episode 5 and 6. Okay, so my thoughts on this episode. Again, I think another very strong episode. I'm enjoying the series. What do you think? Tell me in the comments what you think of the series so far in this episode specifically. Also, let me know what you think about the new way of doing these episodes. I suspect, as a personal belief, but I suspect that Leia will survive the series. Just a thought that she'll make it. I think Obi-Wan will survive too. So throughout this episode, we've seen Obi-Wan referred to as General Kenobi, and we've seen him getting stronger. So he is hit rock bottom in the previous episode, episode 3, and he's now starting to come back. And by the time he faces Vader/Anakin again, he should be back to himself, and it should be more of a fight of equals. So getting back to the Fortress Inquisitorius, and here is the takeaway and the Easter egg I think they left for us here. I do not believe that the Jedi we saw on the Fortress Inquisitorius were tombs. I think they were in suspended animation. And I think these are the Jedi that the Empire is experimenting on to try and make a Force-wielding clone like Snoke. I'm not sure if we'll get back to that anytime soon, but I think that's a key point. I think this is where they would bring Grogu if they got a hold of him again. This is where all of that's happening. So that's what I think. What do you think? Please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you for episode 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's a wrap.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.